She screamed. Wrong number. Marcus froze, then said, breathe. I'm here. A stranger saved 2 lives. Wrong call. Right hero Elena Hartman knew because she had been staring at the kitchen clock when the first wave hit a slow, rolling pressure that began in her lower back and wrapped itself around her abdomen like a tightening vice. She had breathed through it the way her midwife had taught her. Slow inhale, long exhale, let it pass like a wave. Don't fight it. It passed. She told herself it was just another Braxton Hicks, false labor. Her body rehearsing for the real thing. She was 38 weeks along close, yes, but not yet. Daniel wouldn't be back from Munich until Thursday. Her mother was still in Vienna. Everything was fine. She put the kettle on. By 3:15 a.m., the second contraction came, and this one was different. There was nothing gentle or exploratory about it. It arrived like a fist, sudden and absolute, and Elena had to grip the kitchen counter with both hands just to keep herself upright. The ceramic mug she had been holding clattered into the sink. The sound echoed through the quiet apartment like a gunshot. Okay? She whispered to herself. Okay. That was real. She lived in a beautiful old townhouse in the Schwabing district of Munich, high ceilings, original oak floors, tall windows that let in columns of afternoon light. It was the kind of home that felt warm and safe in ordinary times. Right now, standing alone in her kitchen with her heart hammering in her chest, it felt enormous and terrifyingly empty. She picked up her phone with trembling hands and called Daniel first. Voicemail. She tried her mother next. Voicemail again. Her neighbor, Frau Becker, 72 years old, and the most reliable woman on the street, didn't answer either. Elena remembered, distantly, that Frau Becker had mentioned something about a doctor's appointment in Augsburg. Today, of course it was today. The third contraction hit before she could dial anyone else, and this time it dropped her to her knees on the kitchen floor. She pressed her forehead against the cool cabinet door and breathed and breathed and breathed until it ebbed away, leaving behind a deep, oceanic ache that told her with absolute certainty, this is happening now. She needed emergency services. She needed someone. She scrolled through her contacts with shaking fingers, looking for the midwife's direct number, the one she'd programmed in during the first trimester specifically for a moment like this. Her vision kept blurring. Her hands wouldn't stay still. She hit the wrong contact. She didn't even realize it. She pressed call and put the phone on the floor in front of her, on speaker, and pressed her back against the cabinet, and focused on breathing because another wave was already building, already rising, and she didn't have the capacity to look at the screen anymore. The phone rang twice, then a man's voice answered. Marcus Reeves was 29 years old and worked remotely as a software developer from his apartment in Stuttgart. He was, at the moment his phone rang, in the middle of debugging a particularly infuriating piece of code, drinking his third coffee of the afternoon, wearing a blue shirt head meant to iron 3 days ago. He was not a doctor. He was not a paramedic. He had no medical training of any kind beyond a basic first aid course he'd done at university, that he was fairly sure he'd mostly slept through. He looked at the screen when the call came in. The name read, Elena H. He didn't know anyone named Elena. Wrong number, probably. He almost let it go to voicemail. He answered anyway. Habit, maybe. Or something else, something he wouldn't be able to name until much later. Hello? What he heard on the other end of the line stopped him cold, heavy, ragged breathing. A low, involuntary moan, the sound of someone in serious pain trying to contain it and failing. A woman. And beneath the breathing, another sound. The faint, rhythmic creak of a wooden floor, as though someone was rocking back and forth. Hello? He said again, louder. Is someone there? Are you okay? A sharp intake of breath. Then a voice strained, accented, unmistakably afraid. Who is this? My name is Marcus. I think you may have called the wrong number. Are you all right? You don't sound all right. A pause, a sound like a sob being swallowed. I am having my baby. I think I am having my baby right now. I am alone. I was trying to call, I don't know who I called. I am sorry. I have to stop. His voice came out firmer than he intended, and he was surprised by it himself. He set down his coffee. He pushed the laptop away. Don't hang up. Please don't hang up. Where are you? Can you tell me where you are? Munich, Schwabing. Elisabethstrasse. I don't remember the number. I am sorry. I can't think it's okay. It's okay. Listen to me. He was already on his feet, already moving, though there was nothing to move toward. He was in Stuttgart. He was 2 hours away, but he kept his voice steady because she needed steady right now, and he was the only one here. You need to call emergency services. In Germany, that's 112. Can you do that? Can you call 112? Yes, I know. I was trying to find my midwife's number, and I must have the contraction. I couldn't see the screen okay. That's okay. Call 112 right now, but before you do, are you somewhere safe? Are you on the floor? Yes. Kitchen floor. Good. The floor is good. You're not going to fall. Can you get onto your side? Your left side if possible, it's better for the baby's blood flow. She made a sound surprise, maybe. That he knew that. He hadn't known it 30 seconds ago. He had Googled it in the time it took her to answer. His phone in one hand, laptop already open on the table in front of him, with a search running. Emergency home birth, what to do? I'm on my side, she managed. Good. You're doing so well. What's your name? Elena. Elena. Marcus. Going to stay on this call with you, but I need you to use another device to call 112, or hang up and call them, and then call me right back on this number. Do you have another phone? A tablet? Anything? A beat of silence. Then, my laptop, in the living room. Can you get to it safely between contractions? Yes. I think yes. Go now, while you have a window. Go call 112, tell them your address, and that you are alone, and in active labor. Then call me back. I will be right here. I am not going anywhere, Elena. Do you hear me? Yes, she whispered. And then, with a rawness that hit him somewhere behind the sternum. Thank you. I don't know who you are, but thank you. Go, he said gently. I'll be here, she called back 4 minutes later. 4 minutes that Marcus spent with his laptop open reading everything he could find about emergency childbirth, about what to watch for, about what to do if the ambulance didn't arrive in time. He read about breathing and positioning and cord management, and the things that could go wrong. He read quickly, and he absorbed what he could, and he tried not to think about how terrifying this was because terror wasn't useful. Not right now. They are coming, Elena said when she called back. Her voice was steadier now, but only just. They said 15 minutes, maybe less. Perfect. 15 minutes is nothing. You've got this. He paused. How far apart are the contractions? Maybe 3 minutes? Less than 3? He kept his voice even. Okay, that's okay. Are you back on the floor? Yes. Living room now. I have a cushion from the sofa. Smart. Good thinking. He was watching the clock on his laptop. Elena, I need you to tell me, do you feel any pressure? Like you need to push? A long silence. Then, yes. He exhaled slowly so she wouldn't hear it. All right, don't push yet if you can help it. Try to breathe through it, short little breaths, like blowing out birthday candles. Panting, yes? It slows things down a little. You sound like you know what you are doing, she said, with a faint, astonishing trace of wry humor beneath the pain. I have a very good internet connection, he said honestly. She laughed a real laugh, broken off by a sharp gasp as another contraction rolled through her. He talked her through it, word by word, counting with her, reminding her to breathe, telling her she was strong, telling her she was doing exactly the right things. He had no idea if he was saying the right things. He just kept talking because silence was worse. He learned, between contractions, that she was 33 years old, and originally from Vienna, that her husband was a structural engineer currently stranded in an airport, that the baby was a girl, and they had already chosen the name, Lena, that Elena had been craving apricot jam on rye bread for the last 3 months of her pregnancy, and fully intended to eat an enormous amount of it the moment this was over. He told her had never been to Vienna, but had always wanted to go. He told her he liked apricot jam too. He told her that Lena was a beautiful name. He kept her talking. He kept her with him. The sirens arrived at 11 minutes. He heard them through the phone before she said anything, that distant, rising wail cutting through the quiet afternoon, getting louder, then stopping. They are here, Elena breathed. Marcus. They are here. I know. I can hear them. His voice cracked, just slightly, on the last word. He pressed his fist against his mouth for a moment. Go let them in. You did it, Elena. You kept it together. You were incredible. I wouldn't have without you. I don't know if you would have, he said firmly. You had it in you the whole time. I just talked. You stayed, she said simply, as though that were the whole of it. And maybe it was. He heard the knock at the door through the phone. He heard her moving, heard voices German, urgent, professional, kind. He heard the shift in the atmosphere on the line, the way the fear began to drain away now that capable hands were there, now that she was no longer alone in the most primal sense. I have to go, she said. Go, he said. Take care of yourself. Take care of Lena. The call ended. Marcus sat back down at his desk. His coffee was cold. His code was still broken. The afternoon light was long and golden through his window, the same as it had been an hour ago, except that nothing felt quite the same as it had an hour ago. He sat there quietly for a while. 6 days later, his phone rang with an unknown Munich number. He answered. Marcus? A woman's voice, warm and strong and nothing like the terrified voice he remembered, and yet completely recognizable. It's Elena Hartman. I got your number from the call log. I hope this is all right. It's more than all right, he said. He found that he was smiling without meaning to. How are you? How has Lena arrived 40 minutes after you and I said goodbye? Elena said, and he could hear the smile in it. The exhaustion and the wonder and the joy all braided together. She is perfect. She is absolutely perfect. 3.4 kilograms and very loud and perfect. That's wonderful, Marcus said, and he meant it in a way that surprised him with its depth. She has your timing, Elena added. She waited for the paramedics. I think she knew she needed a proper audience. He laughed. Really laughed. I called to say thank you, Elena said, her voice quieter now. My husband and my mother have asked me many times what got me through those minutes alone. I keep telling them. A stranger answered the phone. A stranger stayed on the line and talked me through the worst and the most extraordinary moment of my life, and he never once made me feel like I was someone else's problem to put down. Marcus was quiet for a moment. I almost didn't answer, he admitted. I didn't recognize the number. I almost let it ring out. But you didn't, Elena said simply. No, he agreed. I didn't. There was a comfortable silence between them, the silence of two people who had shared something unrepeatable, something that had no clean category in ordinary life. Not friendship yet, not strangers anymore, something in between. If you ever come to Munich, Elena said finally, there is a jar of apricot jam here with your name on it. Marcus looked out his window at the Stuttgart skyline, golden in the late afternoon light, and thought about a woman on a kitchen floor who had dialed a wrong number and reached exactly the right person. I'll hold you to that, he said. She screamed. Wrong number. Marcus froze, then said, Breathe. I am here. A stranger saved 2 lives.